start listening to Black people and become pro-Black as well. I'm not talking about individual Asian advancement where you play pick me to white people, cater to them, make yourself smaller for them, maybe marry one of them, and then move up in society that way. No, that's not what I'm talking about. When you're interested in the liberation of the Asian American collective and in Asians around the world freeing themselves, and specifically to Asian Americans because we are a relatively new ethnic group in America, you realize that Black Americans have been liberating themselves for as long as they have been here, for over 400 years. You look at the way that they ostracize the pick-me's in their community, the Candace Owens, you can see what happened with Onyeka, the Danish deception girl. Black people, and specifically Black women, did not let them off the hook. Candace Owens can no longer go to Black people for any kind of support or help because as a collective, they have disowned her. Why are Asians not doing more of that? Look at the way that Black people have created their own spaces, created their own communities throughout American history. Even when white people have gone and tried to destroy them, they have managed to create their own culture, their own language. They're protective of those spaces. They embrace their ethnic features and hair texture instead of just doing whatever Karen is doing. And this, I'm talking generally. I'm not saying that every Black American is like this. I'm saying that a lot of them are, and that the general sentiment that I get from that community is that they are proud to be who they are. So if you're Asian and you're thinking, I want to be able to wear my qipao to school. I don't like it when people gentrify my food after making fun of it my entire childhood. I don't like being fetishized, and I will not marry someone who does that to me. When you start thinking this way, you just look right on over to Black people, and they've already had those thoughts. They've already done the same thing. You just do it in your own Asian flavor. And this doesn't even get into the fact that our liberation is all tangled up in each other. Like all the minorities in the US and in the world, overthrowing white supremacy is like a collective effort. And Black people have been telling us this since we got here. I'm just hoping that if I say it, then maybe you will listen. When you become pro-Asian,
I'm mad at Asian Americans because why are we so smart but so silent? What's with the silence? I suspect that if we opened our mouths, we would side with Black people and other brown people as the real American heroes. Yeah, we're brown, not white. But this would disrupt the white supremacy brainwash we're caught in. And deep down, we hate ourselves for siding with whiteness. We know they're wrong. Our silence is the sound of us hating ourselves. But that's the Squid Game trap that they set for us, an Asian American matrix that messes with our reality. And it's all based on hating Black people. You know, the ones we're all secretly trying to copy, even the white peoples. White supremacy isn't smart, but it's tricky like that. Do you like being tricked? I don't know any Asians who put up with that. We gotta decolonize ourselves and find Asian joy. Therein lies our voice.
Black and Asian solidarity isn't just something that I want, it's something that has lasted for generations. Now, I'm not going to deny that there have been instances of tension between the Black and Asian community. There have been individuals in each of our communities that have caused harm onto one another. At the same time, and most importantly, by and large, both communities want to work together and build towards a better future. And let's take a look at history. The abolishment of the Chinese Exclusion Act was largely due to Black civil rights leaders advocating for it, which led to the passing of the Hart-Celler Act in 1965. And there have been leaders such as Yuri Kochiyama and Grace Lee Boggs who have stood side by side with the Black community fighting for the liberation of Black people. And for years, the Japanese American leaders have used reparations given to Japanese Americans after Japanese internment as justification for why the Black community should also receive reparations. So yeah, like any community and people, we have differences, but there's a hell of a lot more love.
Why is this? Why do they think they're white?
Okay, I wish I could stitch that video, but basically that person is asking, this person wants to know why so many Korean Americans try so hard to be white. Or in other words, why do so many Korean Americans try so desperately hard to be accepted by white people, and why do we think that we will benefit from white supremacy? And the answer is U.S. imperialism. It's always U.S. imperialism, particularly migration pathways that were carved out by military occupation. So let me explain. When I was really young, my mom used to always tell me, oh, if you go to Korea, if you live in Korea, people there are going to hate you. And I remember that confusing me so much as a kid because why would they hate me without knowing me? And so I tried to, press her for an answer, and she would just say, oh, it's for no reason. They're just jealous that you get to live in the U.S. Flash forward, when I'm in school or college, and I'm taking Asian American Studies courses, classes in critical race studies, and I'm like, oh, I get it now. A lot of us already know the U.S. is not this benevolent country that takes care of its citizens, let alone immigrants, indigenous people, even its own veterans. And abroad, the U.S. terrorizes the global South through military occupation and other means, which includes Korea. You don't ever hear about or see people in Korean people in Korea protesting U.S. occupation, but it's there. And there's still this dream or hope of both Koreas one day reuniting or being reunified. Very generally speaking, more recent Korean immigration into the U.S., or maybe I should say from the 1970s onwards, these are people who have the means to. They have the money, the capital, the resources, the social connections, and maybe even more importantly, they want to. They want to come and live here. So are the people who resent the U.S. for imposing themselves into the homeland, dividing the nation into two, and in the process separating families forever, are they going to want to uproot their lives to live in the country responsible for that pain and suffering and ultimately this loss of self-determination? Or are the people who sympathize with the U.S. and view the country as this welcoming, benevolent nation, as the saviors almost for coming into the war, are they going to be the ones to want to move and live here? The people that immigrated are probably people who sympathized with U.S. involvement in the war and who also subscribed to the idea of the American dream. And generally speaking, tended to be of the ruling class. And they get here, they either become disillusioned by it, the American dream, and start to question the ideas they've been told, or they hang on to it even tighter and blame other groups of people, other groups of marginalized people, for not being able to self-actualize this dream. This is just coming from my experience, observations, things that I've learned as a Korean American who has family members on both ends of the political spectrum. But, and again, I'm simplifying things a lot, but I also think that
I've been seeing a lot more content about Black and Asian solidarity, so I wanted to share my story. Before I was embraced by Asian folks, I found a sense of belonging in the Black community first. It's where I learned about brotherhood and camaraderie, and also how to rap. And even now, as someone who's unapologetically Asian as fuck, my love and respect remains the same. Because honestly, if the Black community in Atlanta didn't support me and encourage me to rap when I was a teen, I probably wouldn't be an artist right now. By the way, these type of cultural exchanges have been happening way before me, and it's more common than you think. So don't let social media make you think we're all against each other.
Asian people in the US are so weird, liking white people more than their own people.
Think of it like this. When COVID hit, remember all the anti-Asian rhetoric that was going around America? Now imagine that energy stretched over a lifetime. Growing up, I'd hear that Asian men are not attractive, we only know how to do math, we can't drive, we have the funny accents, the slanty eyes. It's really hard, given all of that, to grow up as an Asian man in America and be proud of who you are. Now imagine coming home and the people in your house are Asian parents who don't express their emotions, who lay hands on you, who don't ever apologize, who make you feel less than for not wanting to be a doctor or engineer. Mine also called me stupid. Oh, you'll never get into this school, you'll never do this. Look at my friend's son and what he's doing. And so when both your indoor and outdoor environments make you question your self-worth, of course you're going to try and be someone else. I think that's human nature. And in America, what group do you look towards? White people. They are the heroes in all the movies, they're on all the magazines. It is very easy to put them on a pedestal, which I did, admittedly. And my story isn't unique. Now, these days, I am proud of who I am, and my heritage, and my facial structure. But it took a long time and a lot of personal growth and a lot of help from cultural phenomena like K-pop. There is so much more to say about this topic, like, for example, how a lot of Asian Americans don't feel connected to their extended families because they're not Asian enough, or how I in college saw up close white people with their close families and how that impacted me. But I want to keep it short. I hope this helps you and other Asians who didn't grow up in America understand us better.
So unlike this platform, on Threads, you can kind of tell who I am, especially if you click on my profile picture, but it's not super obvious. And earlier today, I made a post, text only, saying, in addition to being a first-class athlete, Taylor Townsend is part of one of the most educated demographics in the United States. That other one is just a sore loser. And a commenter, a white guy, came back with Taylor Townsend is an Asian. So how about you run those statistics again with master's degrees and doctorate degrees? And you know I'm not going to stand for that. So I came back with, as an Asian American, how about I run statistics for bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and doctorate degrees on your demographic? And his response was deleted so fast. But it's not the first time on Threads that a white commenter has started to argue with me in a way that makes it clear that they assume I'm Black. And that's always a reminder to me how comfortable they are in the assumption that the only people who support Black people are Black people, and at how comfortably they reach for Asian American identity to weaponize against Black Americans. And part of me feels like if you're a white person who's going to pull that garbage, then stand 10 toes down on it. Don't be a coward and delete it when you're called out. On the other hand, part of me is glad that commenter knew well enough to be deeply embarrassed that he had to try to use the education levels of Asian Americans to challenge the education levels of Black women because his demographic is too mediocre to even enter the conversation.
Y'all want to know something that nobody's ready for in 2025 except for those who already seem to fucking know it? Black people are the aboriginals of every continent. Dark-skinned people are the aboriginals of every continent. Native Americans migrated over the ice bridge from Siberia, that would be Asia, and became what we now know as Native Americans. Yes, they lived off the land. Yes, they knew how to give back to it, so therefore they should be considered indigenous. But the people who were on that land before them and the ice bridge even formed were Black people. Black people also built pyramids on every continent. That's why there are pyramids on every continent. The Buddha was a dark-skinned man. The Chinese, we have a lot of trouble denying that we come from melanin. We do. We've tried. We have not succeeded. The difference between us and every other group is that we can admit to the fact that we came from melanin. Why can't everybody else? It's not erasure to say that Black people were the aboriginals of every country. We're not saying you didn't exist. We're saying you came after. What's so hard to understand? Just like me saying that Koreans came from China. It's not me saying that they don't have their own culture. That's how all of these Korean nationalists took it in my comments. Oh, you're saying we don't have our own culture or genetic identity? No, I'm saying that culture and genetic identity came from us. If you are not tapped in, and you don't talk to marginalized groups, and haven't spent any time with them, y'all gonna be offended by what I'm saying. Some of y'all only research your own identity, and that's it. And that's the only content you make besides your matcha. So, I don't care who I have to lose, what followers. I already warned people when I got the big video, right, that I'm not the nice Asian. You're gonna find a reason to dislike me. This may be one of them. Trying to be seen keeps us from opening our eyes. Black people were here first. Black people were here first. Black people were here first. And whoever that pisses off needs to leave my channel, needs to block me. All the above. Koreans, their genetics, their culture came from the Chinese. From what is now known as China. And where did the Chinese come from? Black people. And if y'all are upset with any of this information, go away!
Why do Asian people hate being asked, where are you from? See that? See this collective, it's because we've all had that question. Where am I from? Is the answer Los Angeles good enough? No.
Never.
Where are you really from? Like, do you want to know which suburb of Los Angeles? Is that what you mean? No. Like, where are you really from? Dude, just ask me, what is my ethnicity if you really want to know? But it annoys me.
But it's the why.
Why?
Why do you need
Why
to
is
know?
it important? You know why it's important? Because you want to tell me how much you love K-pop. Because you want to tell me, 안녕하세요. Because you want to be able to say something. And I understand. It's not to say that people aren't just genuinely interested in you or like want to get to know you.
1%.
But I feel like if somebody genuinely wants to get to know you, these things will come out in conversation anyway. I don't know any Korean person that in the first maybe 10 sentences doesn't proclaim, oh, I'm Korean. Let me take you to my favorite Korean restaurant or whatever. If it comes up in conversation, don't worry. Like, we'll tell you, you'll know. And we'll probably volunteer it if you give us enough time. I mean, and when I say enough time, like 3 minutes, maybe. Like that's all I need. I'll tell you. And then they get so offended, right? Where are you from? I'm from LA. Where are you really from? Well, I'm like really from LA. No, but like really, I'm from those two people. Yeah. That's where I'm really, really from. Those two people right there. That's where I'm from.
When they used to ask where my parents were from, I sometimes used to just lie. Like, also from LA. I thought you were saying like, I just wanted to be so contrarian. You know what I mean? Like, really stick it to them. Like, right. why can't I be from here? Because
Right.
I don't know how well educated you are, but like your family's not from here either.
Right. Well, and that of course plays into the
Thanks for your time. I appreciate it so much. Please, guys, if you're new here, please do well to subscribe to this channel, like and share this video so that you don't miss future conversations like this. I love you all. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.